Everybody, thank you so much for joining in for Steffen Studios. Here's the deal. Might go down some rabbit holes, and we're going to have fun with it. And so is everybody else.
We're here to inspire. We're here to bring some hope. We're here to uplift, empower. And you know what? So many people come up with the New Year's resolutions, right? And we're already in, almost, we're early February.
Yeah.
A lot of people have already, forgotten what they were trying to start off 2024 with. We're here to remind you that you have greatness inside you and that there's hope for everything that you're doing. And I always say hope for the future gives you power in the present. So I want
100%.
everybody to feel the power in the present right now with us.
And in the present, we're going to talk about something really important. We're talking about Michael first.
Okay.
You do incredible things like educate, empower. What's the third one I always keep forgetting?
I mean, I like to say motivate, inspire, motivate, and teach, And I believe it's in that order, because when you can inspire someone, then you can motivate them. And then once they're motivated, then, it's like people are open to be taught or to teach.
I love it. So you inspire, you motivate. So everybody who's listening, me and Michael talk a lot. We bros. So we go from every topic there is that's people shy away from. What are the top 3 topics people shy away from?
Well, I think I wouldn't even say shy away from as much as, we just talk about life, and the different aspects of life, the challenges, like my mom always used to tell me, life is chapters. Yeah. So, we go through different chapters of life. So, when you're on the journey of life with the people around you that you're surrounded with and the people that you care about and that you love, you're going through those chapters with them, right? So me and you are able to talk about the highs and the lows, whether it's, being overwhelmed with work, whether it's relationships, whether it's, how we should navigate dealing with different situations, different people. As things come up, me and you were able to really, process together, give each other some encouragement, also give each other some ideas on how to problem solve.
That's huge.
Huge.
Why do you think problem solving is so important? And by the way, why is problem solving so important in friendship? Or is friendship not supposed to correlate with problem solving?
I mean, I think they go hand in hand because, we all have problems in life, right? We all do. We're all faced with different challenges. And so being able to, have a thought partner, have someone else that, can encourage you, a brother to encourage you and talk it through with is just really important. And it's one thing to vent and just talk about problems. It's another thing to be able to have someone that has some ideas and some solutions for it, right?
Yeah.
That's such an important thing because, of course we all need to vent and sometimes it can even come across as complaining, but when you have someone that says, hey, here's some ideas for that, or just not even popping in like that formally, but just in conversation, having different ideas that you can bounce around or different perspectives.
Yeah.
Is so key.
I think that's so important. I think friendship is such a great way to build each other up and truly give each other hope, give each other empowerment in so many ways. I want to hear all about your public speaking engagements, the journey, the movement, the motivation, what motivates you to get into a bigger realm. What can you tell other people who are trying to also achieve huge, big potentials with public speaking? All of the above.
Yeah, well, no, thanks for asking. It's in addition to my 9 to 5, which is teaching, in public schools.
Let me cut you off real quick. Mm-hmm. You don't just teach. You run them schools.
Well, I'm not gonna say I run the schools, but I always say I'm trying to use all the gifts God gave me.
Yeah.
And also I've been doing it long enough to have a lot of experience. And in that, it's funny, when I started off, I started as an EA. The acronym stands for Educational Assistant.
Oh.
Then I went to SEA, which is Special Education Assistant. Then I went to the acronym AE, which is Associate Educator. Then I went to being a dean, and then I went to getting my teaching license. And all the way now, I'm part of the admin team at the current place I work at. and a teacher on a special assignment. So, you know, to just over the years have that buildup of experience and deal with different situations in a lot of different roles, you know, it gives you the experience to be able to navigate and you know, just basically address things in different ways and know how to address them and know how to navigate through them. And I've also had some really amazing mentors that have, you know, just really been thought partners with me, or, you know, just strong leadership along the way that I've learned so much from, you know, whether it's principals, other colleagues, other educators. It's just been amazing to have the people that I've had in my life on this journey to help me build, you know, to this level that I'm at right now. And in response to the public speaking, I always say visibility creates opportunity. And, you know, when you're able to do good work and there's a light shine on good work, a lot of opportunities come with that. And, you know, I was blessed with being able to do a huge keynote speech in 2017.
Nice.
And that really started, and I'm not gonna lie, it was my first one. You know, my first keynote. I really, it's not something I was pursuing, it's something that the opportunity came to me. And of course I said yes, but I was nervous. You know, it was my first one, and I was like, wow, this is opportunity of a lifetime. And I'm also like, this is me now. You know, I feel like I impacted on a huge level, right? And that's the feedback I got, which is the most important thing, feedback, right?
Always.
I mean, the feedback's the most important. So even 2 to 3 years after I gave that keynote, I had some people that were in the audience, some participants at this particular huge event. It was a huge event. Come back and say, you know what? I may not have even stayed in education if I didn't hear that different, you know, and just a lot of those positive things that you come back and hear the feedback from, and it made all the difference for me. And, you know, obviously from that point, I was inspired to do more.
I think that's great. I wanna touch on the feedback a little bit. It's funny, today I heard I should not name drop anything or anybody. When somebody takes feedback poorly, I truly believe that the true colors of a person is when he's under pressure. Because if somebody's giving you feedback, let's say it's good or bad, especially it's bad feedback, and you're accepting that feedback, you can either A, accept it, mold it, change, or B, show some attitude. Today there was a situation I was told about in this one of my clients, and one of the employees took such a bad, they accepted that information so poorly that they not only showed bad colors, they also poisoned the well of other employees.
Okay.
And that is just nasty.
Well, absolutely. And it's, you know, what's the objective behind it on top of it? I mean, you know, it's one thing to have a grievance or, you know, maybe be unhappy with something or want something to change, but to just come with a straight up negative attitude is usually very unproductive, especially when you're trying to do things as a team or collaborate or, you know, do something for an organization. Obviously, taking that negative stance just shifts the whole energy oftentimes, you know what I mean? And I always say love wins the fight, you know what I mean? I'm real about things, you know, always address things and big into accountability. But I know that negativity, you just can't operate negativity and be a light. You can't be a light to the world by just constantly being negative and complaining. You know, I'd rather be solutions orientated. I know there's always problems to address, but I'd rather be solutions orientated and handle it positively, especially dealing with other people, as opposed to coming with that toxic, you know, negative energy. It just never really is productive.
When God is present, there's light there. So when God is not present, the light is absent. It's not darkness that overcame. Darkness doesn't exist. It's just the light was never present. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a similar situation with negativity. Negativity doesn't exist. It's just the lack of positivity.
I'm the type person, when you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. So I just operate with no limits, and I've put it to the test, and I mean, there's been things that I never even could have imagined. Well, I did imagine, and then they actually happened, you know, or things that, you know, exceeded my expectations, you know, to God be the glory. And oftentimes people push back on why you can't do something you know, these are all the reasons why we can't do this. These
Right.
are all the limitations. But when you operate with no, you know, and then there's sometimes the stance with, well, let's be realistic about this. It's almost like setting limits. It's also like, if your expectations are up here, let's be realistic and let's bring them down.
Yeah.
Let's not bring them down.
No.
No, let's operate, you know, within be logical about things, obviously, but never put limitations on things. I just don't believe in putting limitations on things.
Why should we put limits on things when God is literally omnipotent?
No, I love that too, and the other reason that we always need to operate in positivity is because, when with the negativity, usually it lowers expectations. And one thing I've learned is, even though you might not see instant results, whenever you keep expectations high and you don't compromise on that, the outcomes in the end, whether it's instant, whether it takes time, is always amazing. And it's always positive, So there's one thing I never do, no matter how tough situations seem to get, no matter how challenging in whatever environment things get, one thing I'll just never do is lower expectations for myself or anyone else. Sometimes we all need some extra support. That's this thing called life, right? That's this thing called life. But one thing I'll never do is lower expectations, especially in a teaching role. In a million years, never. I will never compromise on that, because there's greatness inside everyone, and everyone deserves the best. With limitations comes, not a fixed mindset. That's what comes with limitations, a fixed mindset. Fixed is not where you want to be. You want to have a growth mindset, so you can continue to grow, expand, and, the growth mindset is just pushing things in the right direction. Fixed mindset, all limitations. This is why we can't do this. We're going to do business as usual. Growth mindset, sky's the limit.
100%. I'm going to take it back a couple paragraphs here. Mm-hmm. You know how many times I personally have heard, I'm sure you've heard this too in your life, dude, you're way up here, man. You got to bring it down. Not just my energy, because I know my energy gets chaotic. But I'm genuinely talking about like dreaming in the clouds, dreaming beyond anything you could possibly dream for. You tell somebody, oh yeah, my dream is to have a yacht. I think I told you about this, right? Like, my dream was always to have a yacht. But I don't think it was always. I think it was, maybe I was 15, 16. I was like, oh, yacht, because it sounds really cool.
Right.
It sounds amazing. Man, I got a yacht.
Come on.
But then it changed. The more you evolve, the more you grow. It changed. I'm like, you know what? I don't really care about the yacht. I just want to know who's on my yacht. It's about who is there to celebrate me or success or us in the future on the yacht.
Okay.
If you don't have the right people on that yacht with you, what's the point of the yacht? But I've heard this so many times. Dude, you're living way up here, man. You're in your own world. Like, what's this all about? Do I dream big enough? No. I wish I dreamed bigger. And I think that, here's the thing. If you don't got a dream, how is it supposed to come true? What if you got a small dream? And if your dream is right here, chances are you're going to land right here. We're talking from the floor, right here. It's really hard. Like, let's say, you want a crazy dream or something out of this world. A lot of times you might land on your dream. But what if I dream right here?
Right.
Then I'm going to land right here. You feel me? Okay, so back to your situation. Educator, ranked through all those titles, blazed right through them, doing a very successful talk in 2017 that opened up a floodgate of public speaking and empowering, motivating, and I feel like you've been positively inspiring and motivating people since way the beginning. When was that big shift for you when you said, from my mindset of potential mediocrity, if you even had that in your life? I'm genuinely curious about this. So if you're going to share too much, guys, we're going to cut this out. From mediocrity or from just being kind of going linear to a very graph upwards, like, dude, mindset is everything. Let's launch to the moon.
I love that. So, I was just reflecting actually not too long ago on the start of my journey in education because I do a lot of project-based learning with my students right now. And I thought back to when the first project I did. So when I got into education and like you're talking about dreaming big,
Yeah.
it was such a natural gift for me. Everything just was so natural. And the first year that I was in education, I didn't even realize what I was doing as far as project-based learning, but I started what's called Mr. Michael's Reading Club. And this is way back, like 97, 98 when I got in education, right? So I started, there was a teacher that had retired and left, and she left a huge library of books. And so I just had the idea. She was an amazing educator, and it was almost paying honor to her. She was, just an iconic educator and in the community. And so in paying honor to her, just, started this reading club, and it was very, very successful. Engaged, students into, reading the book club and filling out, a whole like book report paper and real incentivized, and we'd have parties and celebrations around reading. So the fact that in my first year as an educator was a natural thing is a big deal. That lets me know it was just really natural to have that gift. And from there, I think where I'm going with that is that right there, I started dreaming big by saying, I can do this project, and I have the confidence to try to do this huge project, this huge reading club. I just kind of knew it would be successful, right? And I just started it and had the confidence and the dream to do it. And from there, when you start building that confidence, it's just like even with me as a teacher teaching students, when you see them start building that confidence, you feel like you can do more, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it just all of a sudden sparks that growth mindset, and all of a sudden you're like, this turns, level 1 turns into level 2, then we go to level 3, 4, 5, and it's just. But I think just having no limits right from the start, and having the dream big mindset is really where it started from. That's the seed.
So when people say, "Oh, I'm self-aware. I understand myself really well, and I really understand myself," the funny thing is, like, we're not a body; we're a spirit. Mm-hmm. So if myself is a spirit, the source of that spirit is God.
Yep.
To understand myself, I first have to understand the source of the spirit.
100%.
So self-awareness is truly knowing God more and more. Mm-hmm. The more in His Word, the more in the prayer.
That's right.
So the more you spend time with God,
Come on,
the better you become, and the more aware of your gifts, circling back to the gifts, and the more you'll understand when that gift is enough for God and He's ready for you to use your next gift. Because multi-talented means ton of extra pressure from God.
That's right.
He gave you a whole toolkit. He gave you a Phillips and a flat.
That's right.
He gave you the little drill situation.
Come
He
on.
gave you everything. Now you got to start knowing where the screw, where the flat, and where the hammer goes.
Right.
So I think that's important. If you're doing something that's really important to you, and like you feel like education is your path, and you feel very like yourself, and it's just your place.
Right.
A lot of times with that comes an abundance, a shower of blessings from God, and you truly feel that path is your path. But I've noticed, I actually know an example of a very close person to myself, right? Phenomenal minister, phenomenal pastor, but always wanted to do some kind of business venture. Just not his path.
Okay.
But God would always put a stop to it. He would always bring him back to what He wants him to do.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Ministry.
Ooh, that's powerful.
And I've seen 4 ventures just go down the drain. 4 ventures in my life where God just says, you know what? This ain't for you, bud. Do something else.
Well, that's powerful. And, in all honesty, there was a time period when I was trying to pursue something additional that I thought might transition me into that business, and I feel like I got shut down the same way. So that's interesting, you know. And at first I was kind of like a little bit thrown off, right? But I'm so thankful. Like coming out of that, it's like okay, I see, you know. There was a lot more in store for what I was supposed to be doing in my lane than what that was, you know, what that separate venture would have been, especially if it would have been exclusive, right? So, and you know, I feel like at that time too, pride was starting to creep in, like, you know, was having a lot of success with things. And so all of a sudden, I kind of wanted to pursue this other venture, you know, and I feel like it might have been a little bit for, you know, it just to your point about the example you just gave, it wasn't for me. It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And it, you know, so that's just interesting. That's really interesting and powerful. And I mean, it just reminded me, you know, I don't really think about it too often, but I remember that time period, being a little bit prideful and pursuing that, wanting to pursue that, but also basically getting shut down myself and having to take a break. And it forced me to recalibrate. It forced me to refocus and also to stay in my lane.
And you've learned a ton.
Absolutely. It brought me closer to God. And it brought me, it took the self out of me, you know? You know, an example, and I use this in some of my keynotes and some of my other talks as well, but when I was early in high school, I wanted to go to this event. And it was a dress-up event and kind of, you know, a young networking event, I guess you could say. And as the time got closer, my mom was like, "Are you ready to go?" And I said, "You know, I'm not going to go." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "You know, I just don't have the right clothes, the right shoes. I just don't feel good about going." I don't feel, you know. She said, "Hey, you go there and you make other people feel good. Everybody that's there is going to be thinking about themselves, how they look, how they feel." She said, "You go there and think of others, you know, and tell other people, you know, compliment other people, this, that, the other." And I went there, and, you know, sure enough, you know, I mean, you know, a dress-up event, everybody's kind of thinking about how they look, especially when you're young. When you're in high school, you know, of course you're self-conscious. So, you know, I just didn't think about myself and was just like, "Oh, you look good, this, that, the other, this, that." No one judged me for what I had. No one was even thinking about me, really. You know what I mean? And I ended up having a really, really amazing night. Made a lot of friends. It showed me like other people were so inspired. You know what I mean? Like it empowered other people. Like it lit other people up to get those compliments. So that put me in the mindset to serve. So that lesson from my mom really really set me on the path to and taught me, you know, this is how you serve. You think of others.
How do I look? Man, those are powerful words from your mom saying, how do they look? How do they feel? It is a burnout situation as far as if you do think about other people only, you gotta have somebody who thinks about you.
Yeah.
Or find ways to think about yourself once in a while, right?
Well, you got to have things that recharge you. You know what I mean? Whether it's reading a book, whether it's hitting the gym. I know for me, it's hitting the gym, right? I mean, throwing weight around and, you know, getting a good sweat on the treadmill or, you know, rowing machine. That recharges me as much as it is output. But, you know, you can't constantly be outputting. But I will say, when we are here to serve and we are here to think of others, it's not just me, 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 me. Getting married soon. Extremely excited about it. Happy to be in the relationship that I've been in for several years. When we talk about the language of love, I think I just got one word for it: unconditional.
All right.
And I know that's not one of the things that would be in one of the books. As far as, you know, the different scenarios that usually come with language of love, but that's what I've learned. You know, I'm adopted, and to have someone and people that love you unconditionally and walk with you, and love you for who you are, there's nothing greater than unconditional love. And everything that is good comes from above, God, and God is what? Love.
Thank you guys for tuning in for Steffen Studios. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.